And knowledge of this issue is important. And if you are not worried about, and if you are not wanting to look at what is very fundamental, then we will always remain as the surface swimmers. Neither you, nor your emotions, nor your responses, nothing will really have any depth. The person will just be superficial. The person may say 1,000 times, I love you, but it does not make any meaning. Why? Because it is so empty, so superficial. It does not have any meaning. Therefore, let's look at what is very, very fundamental. All your actions are directed only for one thing, and that is that you are desperately avoiding anything which can cause misery, suffering, or grief. And that what you are looking for is Sukham Ahamichhami. Are you looking for God? If I was to ask you, are you looking for God? You have to answer that. If you say, well, I'm looking for God, the question could be, which God? A Hindu God, a Muslim God, or a Buddhist God, or a Christian God? Which God do you want to? And what do you mean by God? And this person is totally confused, does not know. This word God then is without any meaning. And words without meaning are just noises. You can use those words, but when there is no meaning associated with the words, they are just noises. We have created a lot of noise in our life. And then we ask the question, why am I not peaceful? Because there is too much of noise inside. Words without meaning. Aham sukham ichhami. All that I want is I want to be fulfilled. All that I want is I want to be happy. And this is as simple. When your demand is so simple, whether you are demanding it from your wife, or you are demanding it from your politicians, or you are demanding it from your educators, irrespective, all that you are demanding is just this much. When your demand is so simple, then why do we keep on missing it? What is so difficult about it? Why should it become so difficult? I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want any form of suffering. Nobody chooses suffering, by the way, I must tell you. Suffering is no one's choice. Suffering is no one's choice. Your choice could be, I want to be free from suffering. You will demand freedom from suffering. But even a masochist who says that I want to be flogged, I want to be beaten, he is asking for that physical pain because it gives him pleasure. So he is not seeking pain, he is seeking pain in order to be happy. But he has strange ways of procuring his happiness. Why should it become so difficult when my demand is simple? Really, your demand is not as simple as that. Very complicated. You are saying that I will be happy only when I have $1 million. Now tell me, who's stopping you from being happy? Then somebody says, I will be happy only after I have killed so many people, then I can go to the heaven and enjoy some pleasures over there. Unless and until I have made many people unhappy over here, I cannot become happy. That is his condition. Have you seen how we people say about it? Then unless and until I have killed a goat, a chicken or someone, how can I be happy? Oh what? What is it that is making your happiness so complicated? We are not discussing God. We are not discussing, your afterlife. I'm not talking to you about some special lights lit up from your stomach up to your head or wherever. We are talking about something which is fundamental. And that is important. And this is the issue where Sri Krishna and Arjuna's dialogue has taken place. That's where Bhagavad Gita begins. And if you don't see this is the issue, then Bhagavad Gita does not begin in your life. It can remain as a dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, but it cannot become your dialogue with Sri Krishna. Till it has become your dialogue with Sri Krishna, it has got no significance for you. It has to be yours. Then it will become significant. Another very, very interesting thing about your happiness and about your dukkham is, if ever somebody asks you a question, when would you want to be unhappy? What would you probably reply? What would you confidently reply? When do you want to be unhappy? Never ever. Where do you want to be unhappy? Where? Location, space, nowhere. That means you are saying, I want to eliminate dukkham in such a way that it does not come back anytime, anywhere. And therefore your demand is that there has to be an absolute end to the dukkham, to suffering. So also ask a question about your happiness. How much happiness do you want? And when you are going to quantify it, we can quantify it in terms of time, means how much happiness. On Mondays, on Tuesdays, when do you want to be happy? Huh? You cannot say, well, I want to be unhappy next Monday, And my Monday should, my what do they call it? My happiness should last only up to Sunday. And then after, I'm prepared to be. No one, even a madman cannot say this. Even a dull-witted person is never going to say that. Do you understand the implication of this? What you are demanding is happiness, which is absolute. End of suffering, which is absolute. Happiness which is limitless, anantam. And elimination, removal of dukkham, which is also absolute. Atyantika nivritti, and Paramanandasya Vapti. When you are now thinking, let me give you one more piece of information. Do you know, Anand, what is this called? And is it anything illegitimate about it? Or is it a legitimate desire to say that I never want to have dukkham? Is there anything illegitimate about it? When I say that I want sukham, I want happiness which is absolute, is there anything illegitimate? Anything wrong about it? In fact, this is very funny. And therefore, when to have that desire means this is the desire what we call as moksha, desire for liberation. More clearly you start recognizing what you want, what is really and truly wanted by you. When you start recognizing that, then that what is not truly wanted by you, that what is not truly required by you, will just become non-essential, and that what is non-essential can just wither off and fall off. You know, when you buy chocolates or when you buy things, you know, anything, there are wrappers. When you take the substance in the sense, the chocolate or so, you can very easily drop the wrapper. Why did you drop it? You know, in India, you know, we are changing, okay, Anand? Those wrappers we no longer drop on the roads. We look for a dustbin, and then when we don't find, we drop it. It's non-essential. It is not important, and that's why you drop it. Something that is essential, sarabhutam, then is held, and that what is non-essential can easily be given up. Giving up means renunciation, isn't it? You've given it up. You're not going to turn back and look, oh, well, did the wrapper fall down properly? Is it square or is it? You drop it in the dustbin, it's gone. How many times do you think about the wrapper in the dustbin? How many times you think about that wrapper in the dustbin, but when you have liked the chocolate, you still remember it. And you say, that was the chocolate. That was something. But do you remember the wrapper as many times? Why? Because here you recognize something essential and something non-essential. So also when you start recognizing what is essential in your life, non-essential issues will obviously lose their significance. That what is not important is ruling your psychology. And that what is non-essential starts ruling your psychology, then that is called as a wasted life. Does it ever happen to you that you go to the shop, you buy an expensive thing, and then you come back and you say, I shouldn't have had it. Does that happen or not? And it's not with women, men also, everyone. And not only with men and women, after they get married, they have the same. They don't say it, but they mean it. And when they fight, they hear the girl, they say, my father had told me that this is an idiot of the first order, don't get married to him, I'll find you a nice boy. I didn't listen to my father. And she tells him that, I should have listened to my father then. That what is non-essential, when is ruling your life, you say that it was a wastage. that what was not really wanted, required by you, and you invest your time, your energy, your resources in that what was non-essential, then you have only one thing to do, and that is regret. Regret is nothing but your resources wrongly invested in something that is non-essential. Then regret. Why did I do like that? Why did he do like that? Why? And then you can keep on crying over the spilt milk. Lament as much as you want, but you're not going to get it again. In Indian schools, we had that one, poetry poem. Did you ever have it here? That Humpty Dumpty?
Yes.
Or it's all over the world. Humpty Dumpty is universal. All the king's men and the king's horses could not put Humpty Dumpty together again. That was the only poem I really hearted in school, and then after I don't know. I don't remember anything. You can't. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can bring everything, all the money, everything together, but you cannot bring it back. And then when you have really lost it, your time, your energy, your emotions, everything that you have lost, and then after only what is left behind is, let's cry, let's lament. And then you think, your stories of lamentation are wisdom for others. And then you keep on telling these stories so that others should benefit. Hey, you could not benefit yourself. How is it going to benefit someone else? On what basis do you call that as wisdom? That is not wisdom, that is frustration, sir. You are just throwing your frustration on someone else now so that he also gets it. Why should you alone be the victim? I did this wrong, so I'm telling you. Yeah, nothing else, only regrets. Wake up. If you want to save yourself from this kind of a treasury, from this despondency, the first thing is recognize the very fundamental thing, what is truly, really wanted by you, what is essential. Non-essential will drop off. That is the power of knowledge. When you start recognizing what is essential, the non-essential will lose its grip. Then you are not going to be a victim of your own psychology, of your own creation. This is what begins. This is how Bhagavad Gita begins. Those who are a little accustomed, have you ever done a little bit of study about Bhagavad Gita, heard? If not, Google it. But the whole story, because I'm not going to go into the story, though people may love it. People love stories of kings and queens. But the story is told so that you gather the essence from it. But here we are just very entertained. Enough with the story. The story is just a spoon. The food is in the spoon. When you take the food in the mouth, you pull the spoon out. You don't keep it there. If you have understood something, then the story can be very well forgotten. Upakhyanam. Arjuna is frustrated. He says, I don't know what should I really be doing in life. And why am I doing what I am doing even now? though I very clearly know that what I am doing is very much in tandem with dharma, is very much in tandem with righteousness. And yet I am confused. Yet I am sinking in depression. Don't think that a person who lives a righteous life is not going to have this confusion. In fact, this confusion is going to come to a person who has lived a righteous life. Duryodhana does not have this confusion, whether what he is doing is right or wrong. Duryodhana does not have this confusion. Duryodhana does not ask Vidura, Bhishma or anyone, am I doing something that is right? For him, he says that I am right. Usurping the kingdom created by the Pandavas, he says that belonged to me because I had won it over the game of dice. Kingdoms are not won over the game of dice, right? You create empires by bringing people together, giving them livelihoods. It is not a game to be won or lost. Duryodhana has no confusion. Arjuna has this confusion. The war that is being fought, am I doing the right thing or is it something wrong? Though it is righteous, I know it is, and yet I find that I am despondent. I am confused. In fact, he tells Shri Krishna that I don't want to fight this war. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga, importantly, all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 chapters and totally 700 verses. Every chapter is called as yoga. You think that what is done on the mat is called as yoga. And that is just the tip of the iceberg, sir. If this is what is called as yoga, this could be the beginning. This could be the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. But that what is yoga is way far immense. Is tremendous, is immense. Your body is an instrument to reach your psychology. You will have to begin from there, but you just can't stay over there. When you begin walking, you walk the distance, which means you have gone from point A to point B, but you are walking and still on the point A. That means you are just there on the what do they call them? Jogging on the treadmill. That is not a journey. You started doing yoga on the mat, but if your yoga remains only on the mat, then it is a problem. Every chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called as yoga. The first chapter is called as the Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the yoga of Arjuna's grief. Vishada means grief. Grief becomes yoga. How wonderful. Because we all know that we are frustrated, we are sad, and then if you could make this sadness, this grief, not as something to sink into to the darkness more, but a ladder to come out of it, then the vishada, the grief, has become yoga. You know, you live in this land of Buddha. Tell me, where did Buddha's journey begin from? Did it begin by him falling in love with Yashodhara? Did it begin by having palaces to live in? Did it begin with beautiful women and people all the time trying to serve him? Where did his journey really begin? Those four sights. Yeah? The old man, the sick man, the dead man, and finally a monk immersed in samadhi. You remember this? He said it begins there. Vishada Yoga. Bhagavad Gita begins with Vishada, but does not end in Vishada. How does your life begin? You don't come into this world, come on, where's my chocolate? If you don't cry, the doctors hang you upside down and just whack you properly so that this is how you are welcomed. This is how, come on, the baby isn't crying. If the baby doesn't cry, it is going to be a concern to the doctors and nurses and everyone. They hold him up, whack him properly. And then the lungs open. You start breathing. It begins there. But please remember, though this is the beginning, it should not end at the same point. When you are going to kiss goodbye to the world, you should not be going back with regrets. You should not be going back with frustration. When you are going to say goodbye, you should be able to say goodbye with great dignity, satisfaction, and immense contentment that life has given you all and more than what it could. I am content. If you can say goodbye to the world this way, you have lived life. Otherwise, you did nothing because you didn't move from that point at all. You arrived crying. All your life was nothing but just crying in different sur. The songs are different, but crying only. And you end then there is this journey. Bhagavad Gita begins with Arjuna's vishada, grief. And you know, very interestingly, even before Bhagavan Shri Krishna begins his discourse properly, he really instigates Arjuna to vomit all the bitterness that he has completely. A teacher allows that. Arjuna says that I'm not going to fight this war, I'm not going to do that. Arjuna, you know the reason why you are fighting this war. You are not fighting this war so that you could amass more and more money. Most of the wars are fought only for this, for more power, more money, more wealth, isn't it? The reason why Arjuna is fighting is not just because there is more money or more and more. Because there are certain standards to be lived. And if you don't really respect, value those standards of life, life without values, what life are you living then after? Arjuna is asking this question